Thank you once again to the panel, to everybody in the audience. Welcome to Let's Talk Solutions, where we don't waste no time. We jump right in and we get to it. Now, today we're going to cover some things, or basically one topic. The topic is going to be the Carmelo Anthony discussion. And we're not coming at this discussion from uh, a legal nature or a legal angle about right and wrong and the evidence and all of those things. I don't think that we know enough to speak about the matter from that angle. I don't believe that a lot of the things that were exposed are the full truth when it comes to the Carmelo Anthony discussion. But it's a part of the discussion that we can talk about that I believe in theoretical senses, and that's also actual factual senses, what we can do to prevent another Carmelo Anthony or Ezel Ford or Trayvon Martin, and the list goes on. So, talking to my lovely panelist who's with me today, Kaya, how you doing?
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Indeed. So let's get right to it, man. What is your perspective on the occurrence? What happened? And is there any way that we can prevent this to continuously happen to our children, our men, our boys, our girls?
I think overall it's a terrible situation. I think in this particular situation, we have issues where two people have lost their life in a sense. Yes, Austin Metcalf is now deceased, but we have another one of our young black brothers that is now incarcerated as a result, and that's just an overall bad situation. But I think in order to prevent this, we need to look at the parents, look at the home structure. I did see that he has a mother and a father, two-parent household. Um, so I'm not really coming from
Who are
that angle.
married?
Yeah, the two-parent married household. So I'm not speaking to it from that angle. I just think that the things that are taught inside of the home, um, again, I can't speak to what was taught inside of their home, but I think that what we should be teaching our children is, self defense without violence. If Austin did put his hands on him, it should be hand to hand combat as opposed to I feel like I need to protect myself with a weapon. I don't agree with him having a weapon on a school campus at all for any reason. We need to see our younger children in activities that are going to help them be able to defend themselves to the best of their ability without involving a weapon. When you get a weapon and a black person together, the whole narrative just changes. I think that this would have been a completely different story if it wouldn't have been a story at all, quite honestly, if there was a little 1-2 going on. Austin and Carmelo fought. It would have been that. So that's my
One,
perspective.
two, one.
Hmm?
What do you mean by 1, 2?
Oh, 1-2 physical, hand to hand combat. Combat. Wow, that's a terrible word
Okay.
to use.
Okay. Uh, I agree with you. I agree to the extent that learning how to defend oneself gives you a frame of thought of how to diffuse a situation. A lot of time, and it is shown that children who do take some type of martial arts learn how to diffuse situations better, and it's done because of discipline. And I think that that's an issue that I don't think anyone is really talking about. I think we're caught up in the whole point of fighting against something, and we have to learn and we have to fight against something to move this mountain or remove the obstacles in our way versus understanding self-discipline and how to govern ourselves. And I think that that's something that we've gotten away from in time, and I think it's due to a multivariate analysis of our neighborhoods and what is occurring inside of our neighborhoods. I don't think that accountability is anything that's highly on the Mount Rushmore of things to do for us. Period. And I mean that as this Western civilization, maybe even the world. I haven't traveled the world, so I can't speak about the world. I'll speak about where I have traveled. I've traveled the U.S. and I don't see that that's something that is common in
Mhm.
conversation. And I don't mean self governance or accountability from the standpoint of being able to say, "Oh yeah, I lied about this," or "Oh yeah, I had sex with his girlfriend." Oh, and so on and so. I mean, this accountability as to say, "This is our neighborhood. This is what's going on in our community, and we need to take real steps toward fixing A, B, C, and D."
Mhm. Mhm. I agree. Um, I think as a whole, we have to step away from that narrative of um somebody talks about me, I need to go physically put my hands on them. Or, I was raised when my mom told me if somebody hit me, you hit them back. Self defense is one thing, but I just I don't know. It's such a touchy subject to even go into, because this is not the
It
norm.
is.
The this is such so far from the norm. I think the norm would have been, oh, we're just gonna fight one another, and that'll be that. I don't even agree with that. I think we need to get back to sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Because if you're minding your business and somebody approaches you, you have to have the discipline within yourself to say, I'm not gonna let this go any further than it needs to go. Um, and I don't think that that's difficult. I'm a 32-year-old woman and I've never been in a fight before. Why? Because I've talked my way out of things. I've easily been involved in physical altercations in my past, but I was able to talk and reason with the person that was, being the aggressor towards me. Go ahead.
And I want to say I really want to say something in contrary to what you're saying. Um, but I don't think that it's very much applicable today. Now, back in the day, like you said, 15 years ago, 25 years ago, you you will be 100% invalid in saying that as a female or as a woman, you navigated the space in the tough terrain of emotions and conflict resolution. It's a bit different today. A lot of women are very obtuse, are very vulgar, and confrontation. So to put a younger woman in today's age and put that same measuring stick to them to say that not that it can't be done, because it can be done, but to I guess to look at it as to say since I did it, it can be done, or it's easy. I'm not sure if you're saying it's easy or not. Only thing I'm calling attention to the fact that women today are almost as violent as men are, and I think that that is a problem. But just sticking to the topic, I guess I don't want to get too caught off into men, the difference between men and women. But that situation with Carmelo, I think does have. I think that the role of a woman has something to play with. The mother being able to impart upon Carmelo that it's okay to ask for help, or the father impart to Carmelo that there's a way that a man handles confrontation. I'm not saying that they did or they didn't do these things because I don't know. I was not in their house. But what I am saying is that to offer a solution to us is to make sure that we're mindful to teach our children these things, that we should be keenly aware and proactive to make sure that we give our children or equip them with these tools. For what reason? Because I know there's some out there that might say, that ain't got nothing to do with it. Them white punks jumped that baby, and so on and so forth. And to some degree, I understand because I understand the outrage. I'm feeling a bit outraged about it, just off the strength that this case lacks so much clarity. I
Mhm.
mean, you brought it to my attention, and I'm 100% sure that somebody, some teenage child, was holding a phone thinking this is a viral moment,
Mhm.
and they recorded it. But no one knows what this footage is at, and we only got one camera angle from across the way that is in a rainy terrain. So I don't know how clear that video may be. And not to mention some other things, but like I said, not to get into the legal part of it, or the right or wrong, but as to say that there were things that we can see clearly not right with that situation. But there are also things that we can clearly see were not utilized to prevent the situation. And I
Mhm.
think that's why our focus should be. Our focus should be on how to prevent this.
Yeah.
You got
Um,
anything that you think that is a way?
Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was asking about how do you think we can prevent such a occurrence from happening again?
That's a tough one because I think that is a multifaceted question that I think requires a multifaceted answer. Um, because there's so many different angles that you can look at it from. Um, just instilling our children with a sense of honor in themselves, teaching them who they are, and allowing that to preside over everything in a sense. Um, I keep going back to, why did he feel it necessary to have a knife with him, you know, on a school campus? Were you anticipating that something was going to happen? And if you were anticipating that something was going to happen, why put yourself in that type of environment, in that type of space for something to happen in the instance that it could? You know what I'm saying? Um,
Mhm.
I think that like you said, going back to being held accountable. Um, I think that I am a believer that if a child does something, the parents need to receive a punishment as well. And I do understand that, having a child that is incarcerated is punishment in itself. So that's why I say it's such a touchy subject that can go in so many different directions that it's almost hard to say what could we do or what should we be doing. Um, or I think that it's easy to say what we could or should be doing, but how is that going to be received by the community? Because everybody has their own belief systems. And I think that this situation, I don't even know, would this even be a situation if this were two black boys? Do
I'm
you think
almost
that this
certain it wouldn't be a situation we'll be talking about. I think it'll be something that, and that video I just showed you not that long ago about the with the man coming and just shooting up the place, and everybody was just like standing. We in our community have become desensitized to
hmm
this, so that
no
had been a thing with two young so-called African American or black boys, then it wouldn't have been national news. It'd have been something that was just like either swept under the rug, like it didn't happen, or everyone would have been like, get
hmm
shot every day, B. You know what I mean? So it definitely wouldn't have been anything, and that has something to do with the trauma, the past trauma that we've been through. For one, we've been through a great deal of emotional turmoil, just going through chattel slavery to finally becoming set free, and then when we set free, it's a arduous uphill battle, and to get the rights that we believe that we were, uh, or should I say, let me rephrase that, to obtain the rights that are due to anyone. You know what I mean?